Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and Stand Together Hawaii, and I am doing another video on the Hawaii House Bill 525, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, which is going to open the door for central bank digital currencies. Now, it is not putting CBDCs into place with that bill, but it is opening the door for it, because why? We're frogs sitting in a pot of hot water that they keep turning up the water. So I am telling you guys, we are the ones to stop this before we are completely a communist country. So what is a central bank digital currency? So before I go into that, in the description below are the contact information for the governor and the mayors and those representatives that opposed this bill. If you've already contacted them, contact them again, because the governor has until June 26th to veto this bill, and he has not yet done so. If he does not sign this bill, it goes into law. If he signs the bill, it goes into law. His power right now, and our power, is to speak up and tell him to veto House Bill 525. It is, again, the Uniform Commercial Code. It is setting up for controllable electronic records in the form of cryptocurrency. So that's what they're starting with. So again, we're like a little froggy, a little coqui frog in water that starts to turn up and be boiled. That's what's happening and turning this country into a communist country. The CBDCs are the open door for that. There will be no guns fired. There will be nothing. Nothing. It'll happen overnight. So that's why we stop this in its tracks by asking the governor to veto House Bill 525. So what is the deal with this central bank digital currency? So what happens is your money will go into the Federal Reserve, not the banks. Bank presidents should be freaking out right now because they will lose everything. This is what's happening. The banks are failing, and what'll happen with this is it'll make the banks customer service. They'll be the middleman. All of your money will be in the Federal Reserve. And so what is the Federal Reserve? I put into a URL, I put in who owns the Federal Reserve. This is the first thing that came up, and I want to read it to you. And you can look it up. Who owns the Federal Reserve? The U.S. Federal Reserve is not owned by anyone, but it consists, and this is very deceiving to say that at the first part, because the last sentence has one family name that tells you who owns the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not owned, and it's actually in bold, by anyone, but it consists of both federal agency called the Board of Governors and 12 privately chartered regional banks nationwide. The Board of Governors is an independent government agency and reports to and is directly accountable to Congress. The Federal Reserve banks are set up to, like private corporations, and member banks hold stock in the Federal Reserve banks and earn dividends. But holding this stock does not carry with the control and financial interest given to, hold on, this is getting boring, I know. Hold on to the interest given to the holders of common stock in for-profit organizations. They're basically saying, oh yeah, they get dividends, but this is not like owning stock in regular for-profit. So, okay, so you're giving them dividends from the Federal Reserve, which we are putting money into, but it's not privately owned, and even though they're getting dividends, which is money, it's still not for profit. That doesn't make sense. So anyway, while the Fed, this is my favorite part. While the Federal Reserve is overseen by a board of governors appointed by the President of the United States, okay, you guys ready? The bank's real control still resides with the Rothschild family. That is verbatim. Look it up. Who owns the Federal Reserve? And this will come up. They try to be so sneaky with their language and with their words. Oh, you're not going to be controlled. This is for your safety. Do you know Benjamin Franklin said, if you give up your freedom for safety, you deserve neither. Okay? There's what's happening right now is we have a free market with our banking industry, our banking system. A free market means we buy what we want. Nobody sees what we're buying. Nobody controls it. Nobody can stop our transactions. This will turn that into a communist country where our privacy is gone, because the Federal Reserve will own your money, and they will be able to see everything you're buying, and they will be able to shut it off at their will, at their convenience, and they will be able to stop you from purchasing your purchase power. Now, the House Bill 525 doesn't do this, but it opens the door to start this process of moving us towards central bank digital currency, because it will take years for this central bank digital currency to be put in place. But we stop it now. We say, we call the governor, and all of the information is in the description below. Contact all of those people, the governor, every single mayor on all the islands, every single representative that opposed this bill, and say, hey, aloha, I know I just called you, last week, and I asked you to please contact the governor and please ask him to veto this bill. Or, hey, governor, I know I called you last week and I asked you to veto this bill. I see that it has not yet been vetoed. It has not yet been vetoed. So I'm asking again, call the governor again, and please ask him to veto this bill. And I'm asking you, governor, veto this bill. I want to see it, because I'll share the link for the House Bill 525. I'm going to share the link below. I'm going to share a link to more information if you want to learn more about what the CBDCs are, how they are controlled, who controls them, and what's coming. So we have the power by now speaking up now, okay? This is our power. This is our time. This is when we speak up. We don't wait till the CBDCs are already in place and our money is already in the hands of the Federal Reserve. We don't wait for that. We stop it now when they're opening the door to this system of communism, because that's what this is. It will change our free market and put our money in the hands of the Federal Reserve in communism. And we are a free country. Let us honor those millions of men and women that fought and died for our freedoms. Let us take a stand and do our part, which is a freaking phone call or an email. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to say anything to anybody except on the phone or the email. So simple. Take a look below, share this video, like this video. If you love the Hawaii Islands, if you love your freedom, if you don't want your money to be taken away at the will of the government, then please contact our governor, say veto this bill, contact all the mayors and everybody. All the information is there. Okay, let me just check my notes and make sure that I'm not missing anything. Yes, because I already said that the banks are going to be the middleman. If you know of any bank person, I was actually emailed by somebody who said, I know a bank president and he says that this House bill is a good bill. I said, I want to interview him. Let me interview him then. I would love to spend 15 to 20 minutes of his time and do a YouTube channel, and he can tell me how this is a good bill. And I also said, please give me your phone number so I can call you and we can have a conversation. And I never heard back from him. So if that person is watching, I'll open that up again. If your bank president says that House Bill 525 is a good bill, please come on, let him come on my YouTube channel and we'll interview him. Because if I'm wrong, I want to know it. But this I've been researching this, and it's scaring the bejeebies out of me. Okay, so I'm just looking through my notes to make sure I haven't missed anything with you guys. Destroy banks, yeah, said that. Federal Reserve, oh yeah. The last thing I knew, there was one thing I wanted to share. Okay, so the what they're saying is they're saying that the Federal Reserve or the government is saying, okay, banks are not stable. You know how they lose their money and then there's a run on the bank because everybody's freaking out because their money's gone. So what happens if the Federal Reserve loses? Okay, so what happens if the Federal Reserve, which they have to have assets to back up their liability, and their liability is your money, so they need assets, so in case people want their money back, they can give you your money back, right? Well, here's the thing, the Federal Reserve is at a loss. It has a loss. It has not had a loss in over 100 years, but it is at a loss right now. And this is from, this information was gathered from Wolf and Finance, or Wolves and Finance. I'm going to leave the link below of where I'm getting all this information from, so you guys can watch the video. It's about 40 minutes, really in depth of telling you what's going on. But the Federal Reserve is currently at a loss of $720 billion. So what happens if all your money is in the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve goes under like it is currently? It starts to print more money. So what happens with that? Then there's more inflation, which means your money, the value of your money goes down to a really low or zero, and you lose. We lose. So currently, and they're not saying this. The Federal Reserve is not sharing the fact that they have a 720 billion loss right now. And again, the description, if you want proof of that, look in the description. I'm going to put it underneath everybody to contact right now. Tell the government, veto House Bill 525, mayors, and everybody else. Okay, the last thing that the Wolves of Wall Street, or I'm sorry, Wolf and Finance says that we can do, have an opinion. Learn about this. Say no. Don't give them your money. They're going to want to give them their money. The federal, Ted Cruz, one of the senators, Ted Cruz, he's trying to pass a federal law that forbids the Federal Reserve from issuing CBDCs. So that's great. But here's the thing. Even if the federal government, Congress, passes a law that forbids the Federal Reserve from issuing CBDCs, but the state wants it, the states oversee. They overpower the federal government. That's why we have to contact our governor and mayors now and tell them to veto House Bill 525. That's the state we have. That's, excuse me, the power we have. Okay, the last thing he says in the Wolf and Finance is the Federal Reserve should not implement communism. Yeah, we're not a frog in a boiling pot. We are awake. We see what's happening, and we're going to contact our governor again. We're going to keep doing this until he vetoes this bill. We have until June 26th, but do it right now, because the more of us that do it consistently every single week until I see a veto, and I will post every single week a video on this until we see a veto on this bill. But help me out. It can't be just me. It's got to be you, your family, your friends, your neighbors. We can do this together. If you want more information, or if you want to get on my email list, which is where I'm going to post this, I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'm going to also send it to my list. You can go to standtogetherhawaii.com. Standtogetherhawaii.com. Okay, you guys, much love and aloha.